What's going on, boys and girls? Today I've got a fragrance for you from the house of Caron, and this isn't really considered vintage, but it's getting there. It's almost 20 years old, and I consider it a classic that my men should consider when building up that collection. Strap up, we're going for that ride. All right, welcome to the Scent Bubble. I'm your host for the afternoon. Yeah, it's a beautiful sunny day out in these Arizona streets, and I've got a fragrance from the house of Caron. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Yuzu Man Eau de Toilette. Doesn't that bottle just look amazing? I'm not big on bottles and stuff, and normally I've been going through so many samples lately. It's been a while since you guys have seen the bottle. Nice snappy cap, as you can hear. Frosted bottle, nice kind of Japanese style font. I mean, this thing is just nice. 100 ml Eau de Toilette. Let me give you some information about this before we dive into it. This was a subscriber request. Shout outs to Shan for asking me to review this bad boy. He had been considering it, and so why don't we put that value out to the people as well? Yuzu, for those of you guys don't know, is a type of lemon. We'll get into the specifics of that a little bit later. So Yuzu Man being a dominantly citrus fragrance for men, though I think it's somewhat unisex, maybe unisex, tiniest masculine lean a little bit, but I think many would argue with me for that. But the marketing says it's geared towards men. 4.07 out of 5, only 504 votes though, so an okay sample size of votes. 4.7 leaning you towards gotta try it, not necessarily mass appeal yet. Fragrance was launched in 2011, so that was about 15 years ago. And this is a new refreshing fragrance inspired by Japanese citrus fruit known as the yuzu for its intensive flavor, hybrid of mandarin and lemon is the kind of scent profile. Yuzu Man described in one word as balance. It exudes an aura of oriental wisdom, vitality, calmness, and healing strength. The fragrance of yin and yang union invites you to indulge yourself in exploring different intertwined worlds. It's designed for nature lovers and ideal for the upcoming hot days. And I concur with that since I live in Arizona, where it has consistently been 110 plus Fahrenheit. This is available in 75 mil and 125 mil concentration. Mine is the 125 mil. I scored this at an auction doing my dumpster dive of vintage scents and was able to snag this up for less than 10 bucks. Today it's on the marketplace for around 40 to 60. And we'll evaluate if I think it's still worth that price today, since that's what you guys have access to. So again, 4.07, we'll round that up to 4.1 out of 5. Classified as a citrus aromatic for men. And let's do some initial impressions first. Shout outs to Niche Perfume in Dallas. They hooked up a bag of test strips, Tiziana Terenzi test strips. I know I didn't order that, so appreciate them for hooking that up recently and sending that my way. And again, this is an eau de toilette. I find that I gravitate towards eau de toilettes in Arizona when I'm dealing with high heat. I tend to get a richer scent profile, though lighter and sharper in many cases and brighter. It's still a more full spectrum exploration of the note pyramid for the fragrance. I find that the EDPs and Ps, though stronger and maybe more robust in terms of longevity, oftentimes sacrifice the detailed note spectrum because they emphasize certain compounds and notes to make the fragrance last, therefore drowning out the beauty and detail that you would get. So the eau de toilettes might give me a shorter lived experience, but all within that experience is a depth of scent profile, a nose journey, and a fragrance that really cuts through the heat and doesn't wear you, you wear it. So, and citrus aromatics, we love it over here in Arizona. So The best way I can classify the yuzu citrus, and I'm going to spray this up again because I really want to pack this, I want to really get a detailed scent description for you guys, is like yuzu is lemon with swag. I find that if you have a aversion to like lemon pledge and stuff like that, sometimes the yuzu lemon just feels a little bit richer. Sometimes it kind of has an ambery facet to it. Sometimes it's orangish. This here feels very much like a lemon, but a maturely ripe lemon, where it's not, it's almost sliced open. Like you put the blade on the lemon and you slice, but you haven't got down to the flesh yet. You just broke through the outer layer of the skin. So it's a punchy aromatic, but it feels somewhat subdued in this composition. And I just love that. It's like almost juicy is how I would describe it. And it's just beautiful. It's not the most complex scent in the world. I would call this like a mono note yuzu style fragrance. It imitates a similar opening as like a Xerjoff Renaissance in a more simplified presentation. But, depending how you feel in your connotations with fragrance and your scent memories and your references, you may think this could come off like a lemon pledge or just even like an organic lemon cleaner type of thing. But I assure you that when you pack the sprays of this and you put it on skin and on clothes, it really is just a punchy, bright aromatic citrus. Not a lot of detail and variation. It really is about the yuzu. And it's just more of a staple, bright, refreshing fragrance. Not necessarily meditative like Oolong Cha, but this is more just like a refreshing lemon water. Like you have a refreshing water, you squeeze some lemonade juice in there, you put a couple slices of lemon in it. It's like that type of vibe to me. So it's simple, it's minimalistic, but it gets the job done. It doesn't feel synthetic and cheap. It doesn't go too much into the cleaner category. It's just very straightforward. And for an eau de toilette, I find that the more I wear it, the more of the detail I can make out. It's very yuzu forward, so it takes a while for you to wear it and feel it and vibe with it to really make out the aromatic and the greener side of it, and the sweetness and things like that. But it's definitely very nice. I want to switch gears real quick and show you guys the lineup here for notes. Top notes, we have yuzu lemon, obviously. Lemon verbena, so that green aromatic facet. Basil for that light, sweet green feel. Black fig, I haven't seen that before. I definitely get a figgy nuance to it. Almost think Fico di Amalfi, but Fico di Amalfi feels very much like a women's hairspray or lotion, kind of like juicy, mouth-watering, but still quite sweet fig. This is a almost ripe fig nuance in the background. Fruity notes and pistachio in the mid. I'll be honest, the fruity notes and pistachio I don't get as much. And then in the base we have that cedar. I do get a nice crisp, light, vibrant Virginia cedar in the back. Sandalwood to smooth out the whole composition, that glue. And then spices, not so much. I think that's just a little bit of swag underneath. I'm getting mostly this yuzu fig cedar thing with like 70-80% yuzu. So this is the characterization for the yuzu, and then the green facet and the brightness is coming from that verbena and basil, which stays with the fragrance quite a bit. I find in the eau de toilettes as well, the transition isn't as fast. So a lot of fragrances, within 30 minutes, you're already into the base. This feels like you get the full spectrum of the opening for like at least 3 hours before it kind of falls into more of that skin scent, green lemon tart thing. So, the transition is a lot slower, which is nice because you maintain that opening. I'm looking forward to seeing if it compares it to Renaissance. We have Royal Water from Creed, Issey Miyake. I definitely see that. Neroli Sauvage. Ferragamo Pour Homme, probably because that's a fig barbershop style aromatic fragrance. This is like 1/4 of what this fragrance was. I still have this fragrance and I like it and I'm warming up to it, but the problem with this fragrance is and this is the Salvatore that I'm speaking on, is that it was a little sweet for me. It was kind of super sweet for what a barbershop scent could be. It was light, airy, and crisp and sophisticated, but it was just a little bit more sweet than my liking. You know, now that I'm thinking about it, I would love to put Yuzu Man on top and do a 3-to-1 with just a light spray or two of the Ferragamo to ramp up that fig note. But yeah, it's interesting to see the aromatic comparison there. Let's do some wrap up real quick on this fragrance. I'm gonna read you some stuff that prior research led me to that might help Shan as well as others when deciding on this fragrance. The Caron Yuzu Man is significant because it's Caron stepping into the modern citrus fresh territory without completely abandoning its household world elegance. Caron is one of the historic French houses founded in 1904 for its classics like Pour un Homme de Caron, Tabac Blonde, Narcisse Noir, and Les 3E L'Homme. So when Yuzu Man launched in 2011, it felt like Caron trying to speak to the fresh fragrance crowd while still keeping a more refined, aromatic, slightly woody backbone. And I totally get that with this. If you're into Dolce & Gabbana Light Blue, Versace Pour Homme, the Dylan Blue Eau de Toilette, the Xerjoff Renaissance. This is a much more minimalist take, but once you wear it for a little while, you notice that the sophistication is subtle. You know, it's a singular scent profile with a lot of hidden richness behind it. So it might take you a little while. At first, this might feel generic, but it definitely doesn't feel synthetic. It might feel just more like an organic, you know, mostly raw material fragrance, but then it'll start to really bloom on you the more you wear this. And because it's mainly a Yuzu celebration, unlike the Yuzu fragrance from Mancera, by the way, which feels very punchy and loud, and lasts forever, this is super layerable. Man, you can literally throw it any direction. You can go green, you can go earthy, you can add another fruit, you can play with the citrus medley, you can add spices, mint, wateriness, anything. The origin story is built around yuzu, the sharp Japanese citrus fruit that smells somewhere between lime, grapefruit, mandarin, and lemon peel. Couldn't agree more with that. Caron's own description calls Yuzu Man the house's first citrus men's fragrance and frames it as an ode or celebration to the Japanese fruit, with a travel feeling around freshness and brightness. Let's see. What makes it cool is that it's not just a fresh shower gel citrus. It has this green, zesty, slightly bitter citrus opening, but the fig and pistachio give it a soft, almost creamy, nutty fruitiness underneath. Very faint, but it does have that. That's the part that separates it from a lot of basic summer freshies. It feels like a crisp, white t-shirt, but worn outside near trees, fruit, and dry woods instead of in a sterile office. The significance is that it's a gentleman's yuzu fragrance, bright and easy, but with a mature French house restraint. As far as the marketplace comparisons, the closest reference is to Issey Miyake L'Odyssée Pour Homme. Both use yuzu as its major fresh signature, or major fresh citrus signature. And Yuzu Man is less aquatic and less metallic than Issey. It's softer, greener, more herbal, and has that fig pistachio nuance. You could also compare it to Dior Homme Cologne if you're thinking about a clean citrus fragrance. That was built around bergamot and grapefruit, obviously. Another modern comparison would be Terre de Hermes Eau Givray, not because they smell identical, but because both are upscale bitter citrus masculine scents. Let's see. Yeah, that's good enough for me. Let's go through the basic stuff and then we'll sign off. So, year-round to me with a spring-summer emphasis. I think for a eau de toilette fragrance, this punches well around the 4 to 6 hour. But remember, it's not a fast fall-off, so I get a quite projective scent. The only thing I would say is the sprayer on this is quite nice. Can I, maybe I should spray it that way? So I douse myself in this 10 to 15 sprays easily, underclose, overclose, just shower in it and let it do its magic. If you want to enhance the projection and longevity, consider adding vanilla or other citruses or some woodiness to it, some spices, some mint, anything that you have. You could really play with this material to boost the performance of it. But if you just want a nice sharp fragrance that cuts, This is really nice. It's half the sharpness of oolong cha, and that's why I like it. I think that bitter rininess kind of comes through, but it still stays bright like oolong cha. Age range, I do think it's somewhat mature. It's not fancy or sugary or anything like that for all my guys who like the Mancera Lemon Oud Mint and the Yuzu fragrance from there as well, or even the Renaissance. This might feel quite tame compared to those. But to me, it's a staple, dumb reach for any weather, really. And the more I wear it, the more I love it. The bottle presentation's awesome. You get a lot of juice. The $40, $60 price point is steep for a fragrance of this style, but you do get quality. And if you can snatch it around 40 bucks, I would totally get it. I don't know, in full transparency, if I would pay the $50 to $60 price point for it unless I was having more of a collector piece that I enjoyed from time to time. But I definitely do think it's a quality fragrance. Age range, I'm going to call it 20 and up. But anybody can wear this. Even women, I think, would probably find this to be a great layering scent if you're a fan of lemon. Let me just pull up my notes here and see if there's anything else I wanted to say. Alternatives, I mean, Dolce & Gabbana Light Blue, Dylan Blue Eau de Toilette, any of the Yuzus or lemon fragrances from Mancera. Obviously, Xerjoff Renaissance would be like the final boss of this style. But I do think there's something special and vintage to this. This feels totally modern with an aged maturity to it. Again, I think at first glance, you might think it's somewhat basic, maybe like a 7 out of 10, 6 out of 10 if you're not that fascinated with lemon. But to me, it's easily a high 8 for me. It's a basic 8 in scent profile and pushing it towards a 9 in terms of versatility and how much performance you get for it being an eau de toilette, how much juice you get for the price and all that. So I wouldn't necessarily call this a 9, but it is a firm, high, tried and true 8 out of 10 for me. And yeah, it's just great. My performance is clocking at 4 to 6 hours, so I wear it for a work shift and spritz back up or just change fragrances halfway through the day. And I find that when I manipulate it using oils and layering fragrances as well as lotions, I can literally shapeshift this into any kind of fragrance I want. And that yuzu backbone really goes well with anything to just add brightness, sophistication, refreshingness, invigoratingness, all the different words you want to make up that mean refreshing and zesty and bright. Yeah, so I really enjoy it. I highly recommend you get your nose on it. And hopefully if there's any other questions you guys have, you can put it in the comment section below. Again, like, comment, subscribe. More importantly, turn on that notification button. Talk to me. I do talk back. And let's get a conversation started in the comments. I am very fascinated with the... Can we get some... Let's take it off and put it back on. Let's get a conversation going. I want to dive into the House of Caron. I have a couple of Caron fragrances, but I really want to dive into quite a few because they have some classics, and it's surprising that fragrances, from the 1900s on to 2011 are still getting above a 4 out of 5 rating on Fragrantica. And it's not one of the more older brands that we talk about. We recognize the name, but really probably rarely many people get their nose on these fragrances unless you happen to just stumble across a deal or somebody that has them. So definitely want to get a conversation started as well as educate the public on this, essentially vintage house, because we want to celebrate fragrances that you could still wear today that don't feel old and that truly do feel timeless and kind of merge two different time periods. So anyways, did the like, comment, subscribe. So we're just going to get the heck out of here. I think I might need a nap. Stay blessed, guys. Peace.